اللهم أحينا على سنته وتوفنا على ملته وأرنا حوله واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا ثم أما بعد. Imam Ghazali, after talking about anger, hatred, and envy or hasad, he will talk about the condemnation of this life, this hayat al-dunya. And this subject is really very important because we need to understand the reality of this dunya. Because we are here, we know that we came here to this life. We did not choose to come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and brought us to this life. Our understanding is that this life is a test. This life existed before we come and will continue to exist when we leave. But we are here in this time, in this place, in this shape for a test. And we believe this life will definitely come to an end. And we believe the eternal life. And this eternal life will be good or bad based on what we do in this life. Should we love this dunya or should we not love it? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create us here to enjoy whatever blessings He blessed us with? Or it should always be a place of sadness and depression and poverty and illness and aging and finally dying? What kind of attitude we should have towards this life, our life, dunya? When we say the word dunya, we refer to this word, to this life and the time we spend here. Of course, as you can see from the title of the subject, condemnation of dunya, you know the attitude, the view of Imam Ghazali, and we'll discuss his views on dunya in some more details, and then we'll have our own perspective on this, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to know Him and to worship Him and to obey Him. And this is our test. So this dunya, this life is full of attractions and temptations that sometimes, or most of the time I would say, divert us from our objectives or reaching our destinations, our goals. We tend to forget about our real goals, our priorities. And that's the danger of it. It's not the dunya in itself. It is what kind of attitude we have towards this dunya. Right? Do we have a clear goal that we want to achieve? What is our ultimate goal? If our ultimate goal is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to gain His pleasure and His Jannah and Al-Akhirah, then that should be our priority. And when the life, the desire of this life and the desire of life after contradict, then we should always prefer the desire of the reward of the life after. As Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said that what's problematic about this dunya is that if you please this dunya, you may displease al-akhirah. It's like a man who has two wives. If he pleased one, he will displease the other. It's kind of difficult, but sometimes we think we want to please both, want to have the best life here and the best life there, want to get everything, right? And according to many scholars, including Imam Ghazali, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. This does not mean that we should abandon everything in this dunya. That's not what they are talking about. But he's talking about forgetting our final destinations, like travelers. And in fact, there's a beautiful hadith here in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the similitude of me and you is like someone or a group of people who were traveling trying to cross a vast desert. And they kept traveling in this desert. They didn't know which distance is longer, the distance they passed or the distance that they should travel. On the middle of nowhere, as we say, right? And for them, that was very dangerous. It's because the desert is full of danger. Could be like robbers, could be like beasts, snakes, very strong wind, heavy rain. You can get lost easily if you're not an expert. So that's why Arabs use always to give good names to bad things, which is a good thing, right? To give good things out of good omen or wishing. So they call as-Sahara, they call it Mafaza. Mafaza is in the Mafaza. Mafaza is come from the fawz, means success, right? So they call Sahara al-Mafaza, right? And when someone, is beaten by the snake or by a snake or a scorpion, then they call him Salim, right? Our father is Salim. Salim means safe, right? Sound. So they call him Salim, right? That very famous hadith when the Sahaba were traveling, and the head of that tribe was Salim. So they said, is there anyone who can do ruqya for him? And they did ruqya, and Allah gave him shifa, and they rewarded them. So, and also basir. They call a blind person is basir, and basir is the opposite of blind, right? So in Arabic, when we say this person, his father is basir, it means that he's blind. So back to the example. So this group of people are traveling in the middle of the desert, and they ran out of water and food, and they lost their right as well. Animals, whatever animals they were using, died. And they were certain that that's it. We cannot make it without our right. So while they are waiting for death, this man came to them, and his hair and beard dropped water, dropping. So they said, wow, this person gave us great hope, so there must be water around. So he came to them riding his horse, and he told them what's the matter, and they told him what's going on, and he said, would you follow me? I know there's water around here. He said, of course we'll follow you. He said, well, I will take you to an oasis where there are plenty of water, but with one condition. He said, whatever condition, just get out of here, right? He said, the condition is to listen to me and obey me in whatever I tell you. He said, fine, that's fair enough. They followed him, and he guided them to this beautiful oasis, and they found fruits and water and shade and everything. And then they spent good time, a night or so. And next morning he told them, now it's time for us to go. And they said, where to go? The majority of them said, no, we're not going anywhere. We like this place. We have abundance of water and food and things. And few, they said, you promised that you will listen to this man. And he guided you to this. And he will guide you to something better. Because he told them, we are going to a place whose water is not like your water. And fruit is not like this fruit. It's a much better place. He said, no. The majority of them said, no, we won't stay here. And that's the example of Rasulullah ﷺ leading people, to Jannah. But people don't like, because, and this oasis is dunya. People like it so much, right? And they refuse to obey and to follow the guide, sincere guide. The few people who follow him, they reach this Jannah in the end. So that's a nice example of our love to this dunya. Our love to this dunya prevents us from receiving the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and dedicating our life and devoting our life to Him. There is a hadith, although some said hadith is not very authentic, but the meaning is good, in which the Prophet ﷺ has been reported to have been said that رأس الدنيا أو حب الدنيا رأس كل خطيئة. The love and attachment to this dunya is the head of all kind of sins. And there's some truth to this. people steal, people hate each other and fight each other. All these wars, conflicts, is because of love of this dunya, materials, materialistic pleasure of this dunya, the desire to control, to own, to expand, to have more, to control others, satisfy your anger and your ego and so on. Most of these sins is because of the love of this dunya. Love of this dunya makes us stingy. Love of this dunya makes us envious of others. Love of this dunya makes us plot against others. Love of this dunya, makes us transgress against others. It's love of this dunya. And as they said, this is something that we need to know, some of the characteristics of this dunya. Some awliya said that it is the enemy of the believers and the enemy of the transgressors as well. As for the believers, it requires a lot of sabr and mujahada to get rid of the love of this dunya. It's like someone who's traveling with sandbags on his feet. It's making things difficult, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to resist all these temptations. So it's the enemy, of the awliya and the good people, because again they have to practice this sabr, patience, right? And it is also the enemy of the transgressors, because it encourages them to do more. They love it so much, so the dunya makes things beautiful in their eyes, and they will never be satisfied. That's very problematic for them. It's very difficult for them to go back, to make tawbah and to say, you know what, that's enough, let's prepare for al-akhirah. And another saying, if you satisfy this dunya, then you will dissatisfy al-akhirah, and if you satisfy al-akhirah, you will dissatisfy this dunya. In other words, you cannot satisfy both. It's like two things cannot fully coexist in the heart. The love of this dunya and the love of al-akhirah. That's what is problematic from this perspective. We know Al-Quran Kareem says, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابًا. That's an excellent balance between this life and the life after. This balance is missing most of the time. Most of the time. Islam does not encourage people to stay in the mosque and make i'tikaf or practice monasticism, not to get married and just to do nothing but getting ready for al-akhirah, because we are required in this dunya to cultivate this dunya. Right? We are required, we're responsible to take care of this earth and to cultivate and build and contribute. That's why we have to work. Allah could have provided for us without, working. But Allah wants us to work, right? And He instilled in us this desire to own, to have family, to have children, and to own, to increase our wealth. That's part of who we are, right? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who made us desire these things in order to cultivate this earth. We have to work hard because you love money so much, so we have to work hard and to get more and more and more, start a business and do this and do that. That's not the problem. This desire in of itself is not problematic. What's problematic is that when this desire prevents us from preparing for the real life. وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ankabut, the real life, the eternal life, the perfect life is not this life, it's the life after. Right? Among these characteristics of this dunya is that this life is very short. But unfortunately, although we see people die all the time around us, we know that people lived thousands of years before us, and people will continue to live after us. We are just here for a very short period of time, 80, 90, 100, around this. Could be less, could be a little more. But we know it is short, but sometimes we don't reflect upon this. Why is that? One of the reasons why we know but we forget that this life is very short is because we have a long list of goals and objectives we want to achieve. Imam al-Hasan al-Basri said that at the time of death, many people will regret three things. that they did not enjoy whatever they have collected. They built things and they, cultivated a lot of money and things, but they did not enjoy fully these properties. And number two is because that they are not well prepared for the akhirah. They are not well prepared. Everybody will think that I'm not ready. And the third is that he or she will feel that I'm too young to die. I have still a long list of things I did not achieve yet. So these are the three things that everybody will regret. If people have the option, when the time of death comes, everybody says, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I still, I'm preparing for my daughter's wedding. I'm waiting for my first grandchild. I just think about starting this business. I just started the business, I want to see the business growing. Okay, because we are not running after a particular unmoving goal and objective. We are after moving objectives and goals. When you achieve something, you want to achieve something else. And then death will come. And many people think, no, that's too early. I'm not ready. I still have a long list of things. I have a lot of hopes, plans in my mind. Yeah, you can have as much plans as you want, but that's the time to go, right? I did not enjoy fully. I've worked hard to enjoy this retirement. This is false deception in American culture. When are you going to retire? And then retirement means just do nothing and enjoy, the remaining of your life. Islam does not know something called retirement. You may stop working a particular job, but you have to continue to contribute and give until the last day. It's all materialistic. You have to work hard for so long in order to get some enjoyment before you go, right? So this life is very short, extremely short. And the best evidence is that just look back at your life. 30 or the 40 or the 50 years you live and say, oh my God, I didn't know how this time passed by. It just went very quickly. So why do you think the remaining of your life is not going to go as quickly as the past time? What prevents us from thinking about how short this life is that we all think, no, I still have, it's not me, I still have a lot of things to do in my life. So it's called Tul al-Amal. Al-Amal means hope. I hope to do this and then to do that. And we always have these hopes. And then the Ajal and the Amal, they like intersection. The Amal is there, I still have lots of stuff to do, but the Ajal will come and cut it. That's it. Right? So this life is extremely short. And in the Athar, when Nuh alayhi salam, longest life of all the prophets, will be asked, how did you find dunya? He will say that I found dunya like a house that has two doors. I entered from one and I exit from the other. That's Nuh. And that's true. Again, if you look back to our life, 30, 40, 50 years, it went very quickly, right? So Nuh will say that. And Rasulullah also gave another beautiful example when he said that مثلي والدنيا كراكب استظل بظل شجرة ثم تركها ورحل. It's a traveler traveling in the desert and he found a tree and decided to get some rest under the shade of this tree. And then he'll continue his journey. It's like when you drive to, let's say to Toronto. And sometimes you want to get some rest. Go to the rest area, fill the tank, use the bathroom, eat something, stretch your back, right? Every time I pass by these rest areas, I remember this. When we go to the rest area, we know we're going to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. So this rest area is not designed for people to live in, right? It's not meant to be used by people permanently, and just people go there and live there. It's just go and get whatever you want and just continue. Your goal is to go to Toronto, right? And this is exactly what dunya is. Also, when we travel, we know that we want to spend like 4 or 5 days in this city, and then we take our luggage with us, right? We take a suitcase, maybe 2. We take the things that we think we will need over there, clothes, tools, and whatever. We don't take everything, right? Do we? You cannot put everything you own in a suitcase. You just take the thing that you believe that you will need. And sometimes we take stuff and we don't use it, right? When we come back, we don't use it, right? And that's exactly what it is. When you go to stay in a hotel, you know you're going to stay for a short period of time. You have no intention to stay there forever. That's why you take what you need. We need to take from this dunya what we need. This dunya was not designed also for us to stay. We're not staying. And also we need to remember that this dunya is not we are strangers here. Right? We are strangers. غرباء, the gharib, strangers. When someone comes, stay for a while, and then go back home. So this is not our home. We are now in this hotel, big hotel, and soon we are going to go home. And there's nothing like home, right, as they say here. Right? Our home is not this dunya. Our home is Jannah, because we were supposed to stay in Jannah. The story of Adam and all these things. Our real home is Jannah. This is not this is our test, trial. And then our eternal life is somewhere else. So we are here just like we travel, stay sometime in a hotel and come back, right? So this life is extremely short, very, very short. Very short. كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. The day of judgment, people ask each other, كم لبثتم في الأرض عدد سنين? How long you have stayed on this earth? أو لبثنا يوما أو بعض يوم? A day or part of a day. Like the people of the cave who spent 310 years, and then when they woke up, they asked each other, how long do you think we've been sleeping? They said, maybe يوما أو بعض يوم, a day, half a day. This calculation of time after death will be totally different from how we calculate time now. So this dunya is very short and also is very insignificant. And this hadith is enough, in which the Prophet ﷺ was walking with some of his companions, and he saw, this dead goat. You don't want to smell. You want to stay far away from dead body of any animal, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, when he passed by this dead goat, and he told his companions, do you think this goat has any value to their owners? They said, Ya Rasul, no, they have no value, because that's why they throw it away. It had no value. And he said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَلدُّنْيَا أَهْوَنُ عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْ هَذِهِ الشَّعَةِ الْعَلِيَةِ. This dunya has no value in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as this dead goat has no value in the eyes of its owner. ولو كانت الدنيا تعدل عند الله جناح بعوضة ما سقى كافرا منها شربة ماء. Another evidence that this dunya is so insignificant, has no value whatsoever in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that it's not even equal to a wing of a mosquito. And if it has any value, Allah wouldn't have provided the kuffar even a drink of water, this water. Why would Allah give the kuffar so much? Sometimes one wonders. These are atheists, they are kafirin, they are enemies of Allah, enemies of humanity. And they are very powerful, they are beautiful and healthy, and they live long. Yeah, because this Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said, now beautiful hadith, I like it. He said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُعْطِي الدُّنْيَا لِمَنْ يُحِبْ وَلِمَنْ لَا يُحِبْ. Allah gives this dunya to whom He loves and whom He hates. But He does not give this deen except to those whom He loves. Right? We just recited tonight, مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الْآخِرَةِ نَزِدْ لَهُ فِي حَرْثِهِ. Those who work hard because they desire the harvest of the hereafter, will increase their harvest or their reward. وَمَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الدُّنْيَا only. And those who desire the harvest of this dunya, نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا, we'll give him some. وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ نَصِيبٍ, has no share in the hereafter. So the kafir and the mu'min, everybody will get life, oxygen, water, food, clothes, we will get something. Sometimes the kuffar get even more. Because this dunya has no value, has no significance. It's nothing. Very short, very insignificant. That's why Allah gave the kafir. And you can see, either a prophet or a siddiq did not find anything to eat. Rasulullah, every one of the Sahaba would put a stone and tie this stone into his stomach not to feel hungry. Right? And Rasulullah put 2 stones. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why is that? Because this dunya's time is a place of trial, not a place of enjoyment and luxury. When Jibreel alayhi salam offered the mountains of Mecca to turn to gold, he said, no, thank you. وَوَضْحَى مَكَّةٍ ذَهَبًا أَبَاهَا يَبِيدُ الْمُلْكُ وَالْأَمْلَاكُ تَفْنَى. I'm just in the rest area. I just want to eat something, drink something, get some rest, and move on. Right? وَرَاوَدَتْهُ الْجِبَالُ الشُّمُّ مِنْ ذَهَبٍ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ فَأَرَاهَا أَيَّمَا شَمَمِ عليه الصلاة والسلام. Now this dunya, and the Prophet, this is the real knowledge. Rasulullah knew the value of this dunya. So he was not distracted. Because the goal is very clear. Always in front of him. Al-akhirah, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the time of death, you know what is the last thing the Prophet said before he died? بَلِ الرَّفِيقِ الْأَعْلَى. بَلِ الرَّفِيقِ الْأَعْلَى. Before his death, he made a speech, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a few days before his death. And he gave a speech to remind the believers, and it's like a final reminder, maw'idah. And that was after Hajj. He came to Medina, and he said, إِنَّ عَبْدًا خَيَّرَهُ اللَّهُ بَيْنَ زَهْرَةِ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا عِنْدَهُ فَاخْتَارَ مَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. Someone has been given the choice between the pleasure of this dunya and the pleasure of al-akhirah, and he chose al-akhirah. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu started crying. Nobody knows why he's crying. There's nothing to cry about, but he understood. The Prophet is talking about himself. So, and that's a real knowledge. Knowledge is not memorizing books, memorizing hadith, memorizing fiqh, masail. That's accumulating information. The real knowledge that leads to attachment to al-akhirah and understanding the value of this dunya. That's why you see, the real knowledgeable people, they don't get super excited when they get something of this dunya, and they don't get super depressed when they lose something of this dunya. Whether they get so much or lose so much, it's not a very big deal. Right? Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide for you just what makes you able to live with dignity. And the dua, اللهم إني أعوذ بك من فقر ينسيني ومن غنى يطغيني. Ghina, I seek your protection from wealth that makes me a transgressor, and I seek refuge in you from poverty that leads to disobedience. Because when people get so poor, they can give up their principles. So, in other words, just give me what's sufficient for me. Because sometimes too much is too dangerous. We just recited tonight also, Surah Al-Shura, reviewed. وَلَوْ بَسَطَ اللَّهُ الرِّزْقَ لِعِبَادِهِ لَبَغَوْا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَكِنْ يُنَزِّلُ بِقَدَرٍ مَا يَشَاءُ إِنَّهُ بِعِبَادِهِ خَبِيرٌ بَصِيرٌ. Be happy with what you got. Cars. You never know. Maybe if you got so much, you wouldn't have been sitting here tonight. Maybe you'd be somewhere else. Right? You got 5 millions and you want to spend this money gambling, spending time in casinos, enjoying your time. But maybe you are here today because of, we are satisfied with what we get. That's enough, alhamdulillah. So life is a bala, is ibtila, it is a trial, it is very short, very insignificant, and also it's changing. It is changing. You know, nothing stays. Good time passes by, bad time passes by. But what we know is that we cannot keep our youth all the time, we have to age. As Allah said, we've been created out of weakness, then you become strong, and after strength, weakness, gray hair, old age, and then death. Right? Well, I've seen people who are very poor and they became wealthy, and people wealthy became very poor. People were very healthy, powerful, and then became sick. Right? And people were very famous, and after this, you know, they lost their job or their fame, and then they were begging in the streets. Right? So, even if everything is going fine, there's one thing that we know, that we grow old. And I don't know why this, because this culture, our culture here in America is very much materialistic. We hate aging. People don't want to age. People don't want to see, you know, all these creams and pills and medicine and all anti-aging. What are you talking about, anti-aging? There's nothing anti-aging. You know, but everybody wants to stay young. You're not in Jannah, wake up. That's Akhirah. You have to grow up. There's nothing wrong with that. You cannot continue to do the same thing as you used to do when you are 18 or 20 or you're in your 30s, now you're in your 40s, now you're in your 50s. You know, things change. And there's nothing wrong with that. Be happy with your age. Because we know we are going to age and we're going to die. So, ask Allah to forgive, you know, sins we have committed in the past, and ask Allah to bless the remaining of our life, to give us health, and be happy with your age. You know, it's a reminder that we are getting closer, the finish line. You know, this gray hair, you know, our parents go, and our uncles and aunts, and this is a reminder, a constant reminder, right? People try to hide all these things and to act like young, and they try to look young, and all these plastic surgeries or these stupidities. We don't think about this way. The beauty is the beauty of the akhlaq, of the character, of the behavior, not the outside. So this dunya is always changing. It's always changing. And there's a beautiful hadith in Sahih Muslim when Rasulullah ﷺ sent Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah to collect some money from Bahrain. And based on a peace, a treaty, and so on. So Abu Ubaidah came, and everybody in Medina noticed Abu Ubaidah came back. Okay, now it's time to distribute this money, so everybody wants to get his share. So people came and saw the Fajr, the masjid was full in Fajr Salah, right? Usually Rasulullah ﷺ does not keep money so long with him. Once the money comes, he distributes it. He does not like to keep money in his place, in his position so long. So he prayed Fajr ﷺ on his way out to his house. People stood up on his way, and he laughed at them. He smiled to them, said, "Oh, okay, so I think you knew that Abu Ubaidah came back." He said, "Yes, Ya Rasulullah." Then he said, "Abshiru وأملوا ما يسركم فوالله ما الفقر أخشى عليكم ولكني أخشى أن تبسط الدنيا عليكم كما بسطت على من كان قبلكم فتنافسوها كما تنافسوها فتهلككم كما أهلكتكم." He smiled sallallahu alaihi wasallam at them, and he said, "Rejoice and hope for that which pleases you. By Allah, it is not poverty that I fear for you, but I fear that this world will open up with its wealth for you, as it was opened up for those who came before you, and you vie with one another over it, as they did, and eventually it will ruin you as it ruined them." I'm not concerned about poverty. And that's, Allah provides. Right? But I'm afraid that this dunya will come with its wealth and beauty, and then you will vie and fight each other. So this dunya will ruin you as it ruined those who were before you. تنافس ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر. Al-Quran Kareem told us about those أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة. اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة. Right? فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينظرون. اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة means that they sacrificed, they sold al-akhirah for the pleasure of this dunya. So when you sell something, you sell something less significant to get something more significant. But they did the opposite now. This kuffar and munafiqeen and transgressors of zalimeen, they don't care about al-akhirah. They sold al-akhirah. How can someone sell al-akhirah for this dunya? And simply by disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their life. They steal, they kill, they transgress, they oppress, they cheat. And when we do that, we are sacrificing al-akhirah for the pleasure of this dunya. What a big loss. This is what many people do. This is what many people do. أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة. And what's worse than this is when someone sells al-akhirah for the life of someone else. It happens all the time. These supporters of the dictators, munafiqeen, some of them are ulama, they call them ulama. They justify the crimes committed by these dictators. So is this someone who sold his akhirah for the life of someone else? It's even worse. It's even worse. So this dunya is the goal of creating this life is to know Allah, to worship Him, to be ready for al-akhirah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. So fear Allah and let everyone think about what He is sending to life after. Imam Ghazali, wrote a lot of books, a lot of pages here on this subject, a lot of stories and hadith and ayat on this subject, on insignificance of this life. It has been said that a man who was 200 years old came to Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, and then he asked him about dunya. How did he find dunya? 200 years old. He said, سنيات بلاء وسنيات رخاء. Years of blessings and years of bala, poverty. يوم فيوم وليلة فليلة. Day after day and night after night. يولد ولد ويهلك هالك. Newborn comes in and someone leaves and dies. And then Muawiyah told him, Salma should ask me for whatever, what do you want from me? I can give it to you. He said, عمر فترده أو أجل حضر فتدفعه. You return the time that passed, 200 years, can you bring them back? Or can you stop death from coming to me? Muawiyah said, no, I cannot do this. He said, okay, thank you, I don't need anything from you. ألا ليت الشباب يعود يوما فأخبره بما فعل المشيب, as the poet said. ألا ليت الشباب يعود. I wish young age comes back so I will tell him what the old age did to me. ألا ليت الشباب يعود يوما فأخبره بما فعل المشيب. Yahya ibn Mu'adh al-Razi rahimahullah said, العقلاء ثلاثة. The wise people are three wise people. من ترك الدنيا قبل أن تتركه. Those who leave dunya before it leaves them. وبنى قبره قبل أن يدخله. And the person who built his grave before he enters it. وأعطى وَأَرْضَ خَالِقَهُ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَلْقَاهُ, and the one who pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before meeting with him. هي الدنيا تقول بملء فيها. It's another nice poetry. هي الدنيا, this dunya, تقول بملء فيها, loudly. حذاري حذاري من فتكي, من بطشي وفتكي. Be aware of my strikes. فلا يغركم مني ابتسام فقولي مضحك والفعل مبكي. Don't be deceived when I smile to you, because my words will make you laugh, but my actions will make you cry. Right? So even those who have this dunya, the power, money, and positions, and so on and so forth, they will continue to be worried. And that's one of the nature of this life that makes us always worry. If you are wealthy, you are worried about losing your money. If you are poor, you are worried about being poor. If you have children, you are worried about your children. Then if you have grandchildren, then you are worried about your grandchildren. You are worried about your health. You are worried about... You always worry. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna wa'da Allahi haqq. The promise of Allah is haqq. Jannah is haqq. An-nar is haqq. فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. Do not let this dunya deceive you. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ. Do not let the shaitan deceive you. الدنيا حلوة خضرة إن الله مستخلفكم فيها. This dunya is full of blessings and enjoyments. Don't be attached to it. Let this dunya in your hand, not in your heart. Be powerful, work hard, and get as much as you can. But once these properties control you, that's when we are in trouble. We should be able to control it. Sahaba radiallahu anhum, many of them were wealthy. Uthman ibn Affan was multi-millionaire. Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, others were very wealthy. But they used this wealth for to achieve the goals of al-akhirah. Right? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who understand the value of this dunya and those who use this dunya as preparation for al-akhirah. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. We'll stop here inshallah if you have any questions or comments. We have it. Yes, تفضل.
It's not related to this book. The beautiful ayah that we cited today, Allah latifun bi'ibadihi wa yuhibbu yasha wa huwa al-qawiyyu al-aziz.
No.
The context of what is the hidden context of latifun bi'ibadihi?
Right, this ayah, Brother Zaki is mentioning, which we recited tonight, Salat al-Isha, Allahu latifun bi'ibadihi. يرزق من يشاء وهو القوي العزيز. And then right after من كان يريد حرث الدنيا نزد له في حرثه من كان يريد حرث الآخرة نؤتيه منها وما له في الآخرة من نصيب. Allah Latif. The word Latif is one of the names of Allah, the beautiful names, 99 beautiful names. And Latif means settle. He knows that the small little things. This is called the subtle, right? Subtle, yeah. Latif. Allah knows all small and big things. So Allah Latifun bi'ibadihi. Allah knows His ibad. The issue of rizq is just amazing. You cannot really grasp the wisdom behind it. And sometimes you see, as we said, people, disbelievers, non-believers, and they're living long, healthy life, wealthy, and everything is beautiful. And sometimes you see droughts. In other places you see a lot of wealth. This oil comes and these Bedouin used to, shepherd, became extremely wealthy. So this distribution of wealth is just kind of, we cannot really find a constant or consistent law how rizq comes. It is just in the hand of Allah. That's the bottom line. Why this got so much and this got so little, and why this got, we don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala latifun bi'ibadihi. And He provides for everybody. Right? He is responsible subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا. That's why they said that you have been promised something and ordered to do something. And don't be busy with what has been guaranteed for you over what you're required to do. You are promised that your rizq will come to you, right? But you have to do this. So instead of getting busy fulfilling our responsibilities, we are busy in getting what we have already promised, right? So Allah latifun bi'ibadihi yarzuqu man yasha. يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. وَيْكَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَقْدِرُ. يبسط, gives so much, and sometimes gives so little. If you look at the wealth in the world, 10% of people get about 80% of the wealth. It is just this injustice there. Of course, you can see this injustice from the side of the wealthy. They are not sharing enough. But at the end of the day, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who distributed the wealth. Right? So Allah latifun bi'ibadihi yarzuqu man yasha'u. In other ayat, وَيَرْزُقُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. There's no hisab, there's no calculation. You see people ignorant and foolish, and they're wealthy. And people so smart, and they are poor. We have seen this. We have seen this happening over and over. Or people are equally smart, but someone's making so much and someone's making so little. So how it works? It's Allah. So just be happy with what you get. There's nothing wrong with trying to increase your income. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is that in the process of working, we forget about our goal. We forget about the hereafter. Our priorities, the set of priorities changes. We always think, our mind is filled with this dunya, job, work, education, degree, changing career, starting career, marriage, children. If our energy and our mind is filled with all these things, what would remain for al-akhirah? Right? So that's the balance that we've talked about. So يرزق من يشاء سبحانه وتعالى وهو القوي العزيز. He is قوي subhanahu wa ta'ala and he is aziz. I mean, nothing can stop Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from doing what he wants. And the story of Qarun is an amazing story in which people, when they saw Qarun, who has this tremendous wealth, قالوا يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي قارون. We wish we have what Qarun has. يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي إنه لذو حظ. Is so fortunate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed them when he said قال إنما أوتيته على علم عندي. I made this money because I'm so smart, knowledgeable. And then what happened? He was, of course, disbelieving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was not thankful, then it has been destroyed. And then the same people who said that we wish are as wealthy as Qarun, when they saw his destruction, they said, وَيْكَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. But we understand now, it is Allah's business. He gives so much to some people and gives. لولا أن من الله علينا لخسف بنا. If it was not Allah's favor upon us, we would have been destroyed like him. Because this money made him so arrogant, made him almost playing God. Alhamdulillah, we did not get the wealth that Qarun got. Now we are satisfied. We have seen, Allah has shown us. Allah has shown us. So too much could be too dangerous. So be happy with what we get and be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes?
I have a question, it's not due to the topic.
Okay?
Just, Zaid bin Amr bin Nufail, I just have a question about him. Did he meet Rasulullah during his life or no?
Zayd?
Zaid bin Amr bin Nufail.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't recall it on my head now. Why you're asking this?
No, I'm just asking because I read a story about Said bin Zaid. He's a Ashraf Sahabi, right?
Zayd?
Said bin Zaid.
Said bin Zayd. Yeah, of course. He's one of the 10 people
Yeah, but
guaranteed
his
Jannah.
father was Zaid bin Amr. So I'm asking about him because when Said bin Zaid asked Rasulullah, can I pray to Allah about my father? And Rasulullah said that yes, because he will be raised on Day of Judgment as a ummah, one whole ummah. So just want to ask, that Rasulullah meet him?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's one of the Hunafa. You know, before Rasulullah ﷺ, there were a number of people known as Hunafa. Hunafa, those who worship Allah alone, one God, the God of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Very few. Waraq ibn Nawfal was one of them. They are known in Islamic history as Hunafa. So he'll be Ummah because he alone, no prophet to follow, and no other companions or community of believers. He was just all alone. But he was guided to worship Allah alone based on the remainings of the religion of Ibrahim and Musa and Isa alayhi salam. So these people, of course, will be among the believers in the Akhirah. So that's why. Not necessarily, no. I don't think so. Yeah.
Because it was saying that he died in 605, a year when Rasulullah, got the Nubuwwah in 610.
No. Yeah. Maybe he died soon before the Prophet became prophet. Yes. Yeah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك والعصر ان الانسان لفي خسر الا الذين امنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.